Of course, we've been following this breaking news, this massive 6-alarm fire on the 1000 block of Canal Street. And we're going to head out to the scene right now, and Travers Mackel has joined us. Travers.
We're actually closer, Charles. You can see just how hot it is and how smoky it is. We're on the corner of Canal and University Place. That is the structure right there, and you can see the smoke and the trucks that firefighters are dealing with. We're probably 50 yards away right now from building number 2. This is a different angle that we're just getting to show you right now. Once again, we're about a block down the street from the Roosevelt Hotel on the same side on University Place. You can see how smoky it is and how they're hitting it from ground level. As a matter of fact, it's getting so smoky, the visibility isn't real good right now. But we're going to pan over here this way, down University Place, and look at all the smoke. That is the Orpheum Theater that was just redone. It is our understanding it is not in jeopardy whatsoever, but you can see firefighters ground level as they have a fire truck there, firefighters and hoses. It looks like they have now moved to the back side of this building to try to make sure this fire stays contained. It is our understanding there is a parking lot between the Orpheum and the structure that's on fire, but for people who need a landmark here in New Orleans, that is the recently redone, beautiful Orpheum Theater, and you can see those firefighters and fire crews. University now completely shut down. I see a second fire truck pulling up. There is a parking lot down there, so they're not connected, the Orpheum and the structure that's on fire on Canal, but they are close, and I'm sure firefighters, it looks like, have pulled a hose up the back side of the building, and it appears they may be trying to at least fight it or discuss fighting this fire from the back side of the building. But if we come around again this way, some of the smoke has subsided. You can really see how hard they're hitting it from this angle right here. I mean, this is ground level, and we are probably, for people who are familiar with football, we're about 40 or 50 yards away from the main fire crews right here and the main fire trucks, and you can see them dousing that building with water right now. That is building number 2 that they are spraying very heavily with water here on Canal Street, Charles and Randy.
And Travers, has anything changed? I mean, you haven't been this close to the actual building all morning long. Is it something that they've tightened the restricted area?
I think that the concern for collapse, Charles, is always there. You see firefighters now going back up this ladder apparatus. We're going to pan up and show you. I know the trees are in our way a little bit, but you'll see them in a second. It looks like they're climbing up to what appears to be the roof of building number 3, a third building that is, our understanding, is not on fire and is not in any jeopardy, but it appears they're going up there to fight this fire. Like I said, it's an interesting angle for everybody to see. We're looking down Canal Street, going towards the lakefront on the corner of University and Canal. For people who need landmarks, we are literally about a block down from the Roosevelt Hotel, and you can see what it looks like here. Ground level, very close, about 50 feet away. This is what firefighters are dealing with all the smoke and the water and all of the fire trucks. And there you go. Firefighters are getting on the rooftop up there of the third building. Not on fire, not in any structural damage or jeopardy, it's our understanding, and they're climbing onto the rooftop right there of building number 3. We're assuming to go run a hose or go try to continue to fight this fire in building number 2 from where the original fire spread from to, and they're dealing with hot spots over there right now.
And Travis, now this is the first time you've seen firefighters on the rear of the building all morning, or is this something they've been doing continuously?
Yes, Charles, no, it's the first time we've seen them. We're going to pan back down, actually. Let's go down University Place, right in front of the Roosevelt Hotel and the Orpheum. This is the first time. They actually have 2 trucks and about a half dozen firefighters. As a matter of fact, while Megan Mackel continues to shoot down the street, we're just going to walk down and see what we can see. And I'll just tell you what we see down here. You see firefighters over here, and it looks like they're trying to get through the backside. There is a parking lot over here right now. I know that you're looking down University Place. It seems like, oh yeah, there's another fire truck in the parking lot over here. So they definitely are. We'll move down here later on. They have 2 trucks right over here in the parking lot behind the Orpheum Hotel, and they are definitely fighting this fire from the backside. They have massive cranes in the air, and they are absolutely fighting this fire from the backside behind the Orpheum Theater across from the Roosevelt Hotel. So they're not just fighting it from Canal Street, they're actually fighting it from Canal Street, and they're actually fighting it from the backside of the building over here down University Place. If you can see where I am, Charles and Randy, and for our viewers, the Roosevelt Hotel is here, the Orpheum Hotel there. There is a parking lot right here, and there are two massive fire trucks shooting down on the backside of the building. So they're not just fighting it from Canal, they're fighting it from the backside of the building down by the Roosevelt Hotel and by the Orpheum Theater. The Orpheum is not in danger, I can tell you that. It was recently redone, and there was a huge parking lot in the way over there, so it is not in danger of catching fire, but they do have several fire trucks on the backside where they're fighting this fire. And if we actually look over here, you can see more firefighters coming down University Place, it looks like, going to help their colleagues fight this fire on the backside. I'm sure they looked at this blaze, Charles and Randy, and said, you know what, maybe we can get back there and we have to fight it from the front and the back.
And Travers, do you see that the smoke is getting worse? It seems like it's getting a little tougher to see from that rooftop.
There's a lot of smoke, Randy. I think that these buildings are long. I mean, you can look at the block here down University Place. The building that's on fire is just as long as this building that's on University Place here. So these buildings are all very long, and I'm sure if this fire spread from the front side on Canal Street to the back side, I mean, you're looking right now live at the length of these buildings, I'm sure they had to get on the back side of this building. So we're going to move down further for our next live shot to show you what's going on across from the Roosevelt, across from the Orpheum Theater. But you can see down there live, they have at least 4 fire trucks now, 2 in the parking lot you can't see, 2 that you can see on University Place, and now about a dozen firefighters, as it looks like their strategy is to fight this fire from the front side and the back side.
And Travis, how tight are the quarters back there? You know, it's a smaller street than Canal, obviously. You have 3 huge fire trucks there. You think they're gonna have any issue getting the equipment to where they need to fight that fire?
No, actually, Charles, the parking lot's fairly large, so the trucks back there it's no problem to get trucks back there. They're on the street. I see a 3rd truck coming up now, and they have 2 trucks on the backside, so it really isn't a problem getting trucks back there. We're actually gonna walk down there right now so you can see it live. If you give us a second, we're gonna walk down the block here, Charles and Randy, so everybody can see what I'm talking about here. We're walking down University Place. We're going towards the Roosevelt Hotel right now, and you can see all of these firefighters up here. In about 100 yards, we're gonna be towards the parking lot. Right down here, we're going towards the Orpheum Theater, and just to reiterate this, there is nothing, the Roosevelt and the Orpheum are not in jeopardy. The fire is not near them, just a lot of smoke. But you can see right here, as we get better in position, lots of firefighters, 2 fire trucks, and a hose in the sky up there, Charles. So they are definitely fighting this from the front and the back side. Obviously a new strategy for the fire department as they're trying to get this under control, but you can see the distance between the back side of that building and the Orpheum Theater, and they have fire trucks in the parking lot and probably about a dozen firefighters over here fighting it. We'll get a little bit closer for you. We are now right in front of the Roosevelt Hotel and across the street from the Orpheum Theater, and you can see all of these firefighters over here right now. Firefighters over here actually on the ground taking a little break. It gets hot, there's a lot of smoke. These guys are cooling down. They've probably been working a long, long time. And then you have more firefighters on the street right here going into the parking lot. I couldn't see, there's actually 3 trucks, Charles and Randy, in that parking lot, and the smoke is billowing, but they're fighting it from the front side and the back side, and it's basically, it goes from Canal all the way to the Orpheum Theater. And for people who are familiar with this area, this is the parking lot behind the Orpheum Theater. The Orpheum not in jeopardy, the Roosevelt not in jeopardy, but firefighters are definitely using this parking lot, and they're fighting it from the front and the back.
And Travers, have you seen any more firefighters respond, you know, since this latest wave of hot spots broke out? Like, I know we spoke to Nick Felton earlier this morning. He said there were only about 8 other companies that were left in the city to respond to other fires. So I wasn't sure if they called anybody else in to try and at least, you know, nip this away and making sure that, you know, this is taken care of.
No, we have not seen any more firefighters. They have a lot out here, Randy. I think the actual number, I think the chief said was north of 85. I think he said about 90. It looks like they have about 90 firefighters out here. We did see these trucks on the street just pull up moments ago, so it seemed like they may have moved some trucks around off of Canal, possibly to the backside by the Roosevelt and by the Orpheum Theater to try to fight this. There are 3 trucks, if you can see through the smoke and the trees, there are 3 trucks in the parking lot, which is an ACE parking lot according to the sign over here. I think the Roosevelt uses it for a lot of its valet parking, but there are some cars in there. The cars don't appear to be in jeopardy. They're just getting hit with water. But if you look up at the top, there's a lot of smoke coming up, and they are spraying it from up above. It's an unmanned hose up there on a high ladder, and it looks like they are definitely trying to fight it from Canal Street, which we showed you, and also from the backside over here, right by the Orpheum Theater and by the Roosevelt Hotel down University Place.
And great perspective for us there, Travers Mackel. We're going to continue to check in with you. And right now we're going to go to Kelsey, who's still in the front of the building on the Rampart side of Canal Street with what's happening there. Kelsey.
Hey Randy, a lot still happening over here, but you saw most of the activities kind of move closer to that third structure, close to where Travers and Megan are. But again, just kind of showing you a different vantage point. Those guys up on the ladders now, really angling those hoses into that third structure now. You can see water's pouring out of that building, splashing back, but they're really trying to focus in on the roof of that third structure now. I'm looking at the building where the fire initially started, and it's kind of barely smoking, but it's completely charred, and smoke billowing out of the second and third buildings that are attached to it, or kind of adjacent to it, if you will. One other thing we wanted to show you was kind of how the smoke is starting to move through the city. It's not too much smoke over here, but when you look down North Rampart Street, you can see the smoke is really starting to push that way. You've heard us mentioning all morning long that if your office building, ours included, is on that, excuse me, sir, if your office building is on that side of the CBD of Canal Street, you can see all of the smoke coming into your building, into your parking lots. In fact, we smelled smoke inside of our building this morning. I'm sure you guys are still smelling it right now. Still a very active scene. Again, they're asking people, if possible, to stay out of this area. Only come here, this area, if you work here, if you have a doctor's appointment. But if you're a visitor, if you are just coming to have lunch down here during your work day, cancel those plans, try another part of town, because this is going to be the scene for several hours while they work to get this fire under control here on Canal Street. Again, Chief McConnell saying they're hoping to have this under control in the next hour or so, but it could be longer. You see them still really focusing in on that third building right now, and expect crews to be here for the next day or so while they continue to investigate the cause of this fire and then do structural assessments once everything is put out and under control. But again, you can see still an hour, I think 5 at this point, 5.5. Still a very active scene here on Canal Street. So stay out of this area if at all possible, and let these crews do their job and get this fire under control and do it safely. That's, again, one of the most important things, is that those guys and girls are safe while they do their job out here. Randy, Charles, back to you.
And Kelsey, I know you spoke with some people who were going to work earlier this morning. Have you seen anybody who just said, you know, I have to leave, the smoke was just too bad inside of my building?
So far, I haven't talked to anybody who's complained about the smoke. Again, from what we can tell, the smoke's moving more toward you guys. It's not really blowing back our way toward the French Quarter. It's blowing more toward the CBD and the warehouse districts. You guys saw the lady I spoke to who works at the Ritz-Carlton. She says, as far as she knows, it's going to be a regular day at work for her. I'm sure they have a plan in place to deal with this, to make sure that the staff and the guests are safe. Also spoke to a young man a little earlier before that who works at the Saint Hotel. He is expecting today to be a quite slow work day for them, because their guests, if they're not here already, are going to have a hard time getting to the building, because he said that their parking lot, the valet lot, is being blocked off mainly by all of this commotion here. So it's going to be an interesting day here on Canal Street with all of this activity going on. So if you can avoid it, again, if you don't work down here, or if you found out that your office is closed, don't even attempt to come down here, because you are going to have quite a difficult time trying to navigate through all of these emergency units. Randy.
And Kelsey, I don't know if you can see this far from where you are, but are more people coming from, say, the I-10 side, like being dropped off either on a streetcar or on a bus to try and even make their way downtown? You said you saw a lot of pedestrian foot traffic.
Well, most of the pedestrians we're seeing, I think, are coming from I can't see how far down that sign that far down. It's kind of too far down for me to see. But I told you, my uncle did take a bus down this way to make a doctor's appointment, and he was dropped off several blocks back, closer to the French Quarter side of Canal Street, more in the French Quarter actually, and had to walk up. And we're seeing the people who are getting here from work. The last few people trickling in from work are coming from that direction. I guess all the buses are stopping back on the French Quarter side of the city and trying to keep out of the way of these emergency crews as well.
And the fire department is flanking this fire from both sides, both front and back from Canal Street and over next to the Roosevelt Hotel. And we're going to go back to the backside now and check in with Travers again. Travers, what do you see now?
Hey, I'm right in front of the Roosevelt Hotel, and you can see right here they're hooking up what looks to be more hoses, obviously, to reconnect and keep battling this blaze. Also, Charles and Randy, right here, they just brought in another fire truck right here on University Place, right in front of us. So that means now that they have, from what I can tell, 7 trucks on the backside right now. And you can see, this is live television, they are pulling these hoses out right here as quickly as they possibly can to try to connect the hoses. It's my understanding to get water back up to the building, to keep the water pressure up, to keep fighting this from the backside of the building. But just to let people know where we are, we have moved off Canal. We are on the backside. We are on University Place. I am right in front of the Roosevelt Hotel. The Orpheum Theater is right there. So these firefighters are working right here in front of the Roosevelt, the Orpheum Theater, and there's a parking lot over there where they just brought a 7th fire truck to the back side. I would have to believe that what they're trying to do is hit this fire from the front side on Canal, near where Kelsey is, and now on the back side, using this parking lot to run hoses through to get to these trucks in the parking lot, so where then they can start fighting this fire from the back side. And if you look up here, we can keep panning around. We can go up, there's a hose up there on the ladder at the top, dousing it from the top. I know the tree line somewhat blocks our view, and there is a lot of smoke on the backside. We are right where the smoke is blowing. It's blowing towards Lee's Circle, towards the Pontchartrain Expressway. So that's the way the smoke is coming right now. And this is a live look as these firefighters work in a pretty quick manner to try to pull these hoses right here out to get as much water as possible on this fire that is burning right now. 6 alarms. They believe they have it contained, but they have hot spots that are still popping up, these pockets of fire that are causing a lot of smoke and problems as firefighters continue to try to get this blaze under control. Charles and Randy.
Travers, does it look like they're bringing those hoses to like some of the adjacent trucks, or are they hooking that actual truck up?
I think, Randy, if I can walk over here and see, I think they were pulling the hoses out of this truck to hook to this truck down here, and then they're going to run them through here. It looks like all the hoses got firm a second ago. Actually, you know what? We may move once again. We may move out into the street here just so you can look down the street and see all the hoses run down the street. If you bear with us, we're going to move real quickly, and you can see right there, they have several hoses run down University Place with several trucks. All of the hoses look like water is pumping through them right now. So this is what's happening on University Place, Randy. It looked like they used those extra hoses from one truck to hook to another one to run water from these trucks up to the ladder truck. And like I said, I'm no expert on firefighting, but that's what they look like they were doing, trying to get as many hoses as possible to tap these pumps on this truck and to tap these hydrants to start fighting this from the backside.
Well, we do have an expert on the phone, Travers, so if you want to stay and listen in if you have any questions for Captain Edwin Holmes. But Captain Holmes is joining us now on the phone. And Captain, we're seeing these firefighting efforts in real time, watching them bring in another truck, watching them bring out hoses. What's the struggle for your men and your women right now?
Well, keep in mind, I'm not on the scene. I'm at fire department headquarters. I'm getting briefed regularly by personnel on the scene and the command staff. But from what I've heard Travis say, what they're doing is attempted to get in front of the fire. It's what we call surround and drown. You know, they're going to try to prevent the spread of the fire to any exposures that have not been involved already. You know, you're still in the process of fighting the fire, but also making sure it doesn't extend to anywhere else.
And In this part of the city, as far as hooking up to water mains and water lines and getting water onto this fire, when you have those side streets, is there a problem for your firefighters out there?
Not really. Water pressure won't be a problem for us, but of course for the businesses, hotels in the area, it's going to be a significant problem for them. Water pressure is going to be extremely low. I'm not sure if the electricity has been turned back on to that area. Utilities and water is going to be an issue for the businesses there, but water for us, no, that won't be a problem.
Do you know the radius of that with the low water pressure? We were hearing folks even from the Irish Channel who said that they were experiencing low water pressure. Would it extend that far?
Yeah. With that, I'm not exactly sure. That'd be a question for Sewage and Water Board, as far as who all will be affected by this.
And we're now seeing these firefighters on the rear side of the building. We couldn't tell earlier. Is this something that's been going on since the start of the fire, or is it now safe for them to attack it from the rear?
Actually, there have been teams that have been there since the beginning of the fire. But now that much of it has been knocked down in the front, this is speculation. I'm not at the scene. I can only, speculate on what type of tactic they would be using. But we've had personnel at the rear of the building since the beginning of the fire, since we arrived. I guess for whatever reasons, they feel like that's the best option as far as mitigating this incident.
Now let's talk about the time frame here, Chief Holmes, Captain Holmes, because at this point we're going on 6 hours that your crews have been fighting this fire, and it still seems to present some hot spots. It still seems to present some challenges. So talk about their mentality there on the ground. I know you all had a shift change, but do you still have some guys that have been there since the beginning? Is this a long period of time for them to be fighting one given fire?
Well, the time as far as fighting the fire, that's because of the structure. It's a commercial structure. It's compartmentalized. Several different businesses inside one building, and then above the businesses you have several different apartments, inside those buildings there. So all of it is compartmentalized. So as you breach one, and if there's any type of a smoldering fire in those particular different compartments, as soon as oxygen hits it, the fire explodes. You have a flash over there. So it's just, it's going to continue until all of the hot spots have been addressed.
And are we learning anything new at this point? I know Chief McConnell there is on the ground. Have we learned anything new about maybe how this fire started, or, what are some of the new challenges that your crews are facing?
Well, we did have one person that was in one of the buildings, one of the businesses at the time of the fire. They're in the process of interviewing him. They've been in the process of interviewing that individual all morning. I'm pretty sure we'll get information once that is done. But as far as outside of that interview, until the fire is out, there's nothing you can do as far as the investigation is concerned. Interior investigation inside the incident until the fire is completely out. And anything else, any other information that have to get from the person that was inside the building.
Now, this is still a 6-alarm fire. Can you speak to how this is going to affect responses to other fires around the city this morning?
All right. Well, of course, manpower gets adjusted. For, let's say, some of the companies from New Orleans East have to come out into different areas of the city. So also with the West Bank, we bring companies from those outlying areas to cover the companies that are at the fire. Of course, there's probably at least the ladder trucks from every district are on the scene right now. So all of the ladders are on the scene right now because this is an aerial fire that they have to fight. It's not much interior firefighting being done. So we have ladders from all over the city. But as far as the pump apparatuses, they'll be in place strategically throughout the city to cover the rest of the city.
All right. Captain Edwin Holmes, thank you so much for joining us here on the phone, providing us that new information and that insight. We appreciate that. Gina Swanson just joins us now live at the scene at this point to give us an update. Gina.
Randy, we actually just had a chance to walk down closer to the buildings, the main structure, the initial structure that was on fire, the one that has the charred facade. And once you get close up on it, you can see there's no guts of the building left, no interior. You can clearly see why Chief McConnell said that there is a potential or danger of collapse, because all from what I could see, even the naked eye, it appeared to just be that exterior front wall. Now, you heard Captain Holmes talk about how these trucks, the water trucks, will be out here for a while, just making sure that there are no hot spots. You know, people trying to hustle and bustle to get to work, but imagine this spectacle in the middle of rush hour as you're trying to get to work. So people are stopping to take pictures and even just try and kind of figure out what all happened. In addition to firefighters, we actually saw ATF agents on the ground. We're assuming that they are helping with this investigation, just trying to get to the bottom of what started this all. Been going on for quite some time now. All we know at this point, from what Chief McConnell actually told us earlier, he said that he didn't believe that there was an accelerant used, but that was something that was still under investigation. He also said that they believe in the initial building, the fire started on the second floor. There was a person there who was able to get out safely. They are talking to that person just to kind of see if they can get a sense of what happened. The building's on the ground floor. I have to say, I know no insurance claim or adjuster has been out here, but just from the naked eye, it appears that they are totally lost. Everything on the ground floor businesses appears to be charred. And again, the buildings don't appear to have any guts if you walk closer to the scenario. So still the same amount of fire crews working to make sure that everything is under control. Particularly, you also think about the historic nature of these buildings. Chief McConnell said that they were built with a firewall, but the way that the fire was able to spread is because one of those firewalls was compromised. They did see some penetration, so it was able to spread from one building to another. Their main goal, not only getting the fire out, but making sure it doesn't in fact spread to a third building. So certainly we'll have some fire personnel on this scene for several more hours, if you will. So for folks headed this way, they're just going to kind of have to deal with the headache for this moment. You talked about all the foot traffic certainly picking up as people are headed to work, but we'll keep an eye on things out here and bring you any updates as we get them.
And Gina, are you seeing more people out there at this hour? You know, it is a pretty busy time of the morning, and typically we do see a lot of people. Are you seeing the average number of pedestrians out there this morning?
I mean, we are seeing a lot of pedestrians as buses drop people off. We are going to toss things to my colleague Travers Mackel. He is on the other side of the blaze, with the other side of this event, rather, with an update.
Hey, Gina, we are right in front of the Roosevelt, and you were looking at this live. They are lifting another ladder truck on University Place. This is live right now. They are lifting this ladder to start fighting it again from the backside. They already have, from what I can tell, 6 trucks out here. This is the 7th ladder. This is the 7th truck, another ladder truck, and they are raising it right now to get a hose up there to start fighting this fire, to continue fighting this fire from the backside. So you were looking at this live as NOFD is raising this ladder truck right in front of the Roosevelt, right in front of the Orpheum, and they are trying to get up even higher. They already have 2 ladder trucks on the backside, dousing the backside of this building, and now they are lifting a 3rd ladder truck on the backside here, trying to fight this fire from University Place, the backside, not on Canal where Gina and Kelsey are, but on the backside by the Orpheum Theater.
And Travers, right now, are you seeing any people preparing to get onto that ladder truck? I know they see them raising it now, but are those guys about to get onto that ladder truck to be able to put water onto that building?
Yes, Randy, take a look. We're going to pan down here. There are 4 firefighters. One looks like they are about to go up. Well, actually, they're lowering it, so maybe they're getting a better vantage point, but 4 firefighters are standing here. One looked like he was about to climb up that ladder to start fighting it. They are now lowering the ladder. It looks like they're going to move positions maybe, or move it to a different angle. It seems like there's a lot going on down here right now, but it looks like they're about to move it. They just pulled it down, and it looks like they're trying to talk about different angles down here, ground level. You have a lot of what looks like supervisors or chiefs down here now, and they're talking to the crew at the scene. You can see how close we are. They're 15 feet away, but it looks like they are strategizing right there now on a better angle, and they are. They're actually turning it. They're turning the ladder truck, and it looks like they're going to move it to a different position or a different angle to start fighting this fire from the back, or to continue fighting this fire from the backside.
And Travers, as far as the backside of the building, what kind of damage can you see? Do you see any smoke damage, any fire damage from the backside of the building?
You know, Charles, no, to be honest with you. It's an old building. It looks like a lot of fire damage like we saw from the front, but our vantage point is kind of the side right here, and these buildings are in the middle of the block, so we can't really see that much from right here. And it definitely looks like they are putting down this ladder truck. It's our understanding from just hearing the conversation 20 feet away that they're going to move it. I don't know where they're moving it to, if they're moving it up or back or to the back parking lot, but it's going to move here. The horn's going off. I apologize. I guess that happens when they start lowering these large apparatuses, but they're moving it now to a different location, and they're still pouring water on the back side. While they're lowering this, we can show you the other two in the air up there, and you can see they have two hoses, two ladder trucks and hoses on the back side of this structure fire. It looks like they are now lowering the third one, and they're going to try to move it to a different location where they can better fight this blaze.
And Travers, are you still seeing that same amount of smoke that we were just saying about 10, 15 minutes ago, kind of appearing that they were still putting out hot spots? Are you still seeing that same amount of smoke coming from the back of that building?
Yeah, Randy, actually lots of smoke. I don't know how much you can really see on TV, but there's a lot of smoke coming off the top. And hopefully you can see this. It's a lot of that gray smoke, and it's a gray, hazy day, so the smoke starts to blend in with the skyline, but there is a lot of smoke coming from the roof of this building, and we're right in the way of the smoke. It's all blowing towards Lee Circle and the Pontchartrain Expressway, but there is a lot of smoke up here coming from the roof of this building. It looks like they are far from out of the woods, and it looks like this fight on this fire is far from over.
Would you say that that was more